Have you ever felt like there's a voice inside your head, one that isn't your own, a darker part of you, whispering things you'd never dare to say out loud? For most of us, that's just a fleeting thought, a dark fantasy. But for one man, that voice had a face, and it was attached to the back of his head. This is the story of Edward Mordrake, one of history's most chilling and tragic medical mysteries. In the 19th century, Edward Mordrake was born into privilege. As the heir to an English peerage, he was destined for a life of comfort and influence. He was intelligent, a gifted musician, and by all accounts, a kind and handsome young man. But Edward carried a secret so profound, so terrifying, that it forced him into complete seclusion. On the back of his head, where hair should have been, there was another face. This wasn't just a lump or a birthmark. It was a perfectly formed, albeit smaller, second face. Some accounts described it as female, others as simply demonic. It had its own eyes, its own mouth, its own features. It couldn't see in the traditional sense, but its eyes would follow you around a room. Its lips would quiver and sneer, completely independent of Edward's own emotions. While Edward might be weeping in despair, the face on the back of his head could be smiling, a silent, mocking grin. The true horror, however, wasn't just its appearance. The face was alive in a way that defied all medical understanding. It couldn't eat or speak aloud, but Edward swore it could whisper. They called it his devil twin, and its whispers were relentless. A constant stream of malice poured directly into his mind. Imagine trying to live your life, trying to find a moment of peace, but there's a voice, inescapable, always there. At night, when the house was quiet and the world was asleep, Edward's torment would escalate. The face would come alive, whispering of things from the darkest corners of the human psyche. It would recount heinous acts, suggest unspeakable temptations, and weave tales of damnation. Edward claimed it never slept, its whispers a constant, maddening hum that drove him to the brink of insanity. He pleaded with doctors, begged them to free him from his personal demon. Cut it off, he would implore. Even if it kills me, anything is better than this living hell. But no surgeon of the era would dare attempt the procedure. The second face was too deeply integrated. It shared blood vessels, nerves, and likely even a portion of Edward's brain. To remove it would be a death sentence, a risk no physician was willing to take. They could offer him no cure, no solace, only their morbid fascination. Trapped and without hope, Edward became a recluse. He locked himself away in his family's stately home, refusing to see even his own family members. He lived in rooms with the curtains permanently drawn, every mirror covered or removed, unable to bear the sight of the face that haunted his reflection. Sleep became his enemy, for in his dreams, the whispers grew louder, the visions more vivid. The face would show him a world where it was in control, where it could finally use Edward's mouth to speak, his hands to act, his body to carry out its evil desires. The constant psychological torture took its toll. Edward's health deteriorated rapidly. The once promising young nobleman became a gaunt, terrified shadow of his former self. His life was a waking nightmare, a battle for control of his own mind against a foe that was literally a part of him. This tragic existence couldn't last. At the tender age of 23, Edward Mordrake was found dead in his room. He had taken his own life, unable to endure the torment any longer. But even in death, his final thoughts were of the face. He left behind a short, desperate note. It contained one last request, that the demon face be destroyed before his burial. He wrote, "Lest it continue its dreadful whisperings in my grave." He was terrified that even in death, it would not release him. Here the story takes an even darker turn, entering the realm of legend. Edward's family, honoring his final wish, ensured the face was obliterated before he was laid to rest. But some versions of the tale claimed that his doctors, the ones who had refused to operate, got to him first. Driven by scientific curiosity, they supposedly took his body for a private autopsy to study this unprecedented phenomenon. They documented the face's features, its anatomy, its connection to Edward's brain, and in their secret notes, they recorded something impossible, something that chills the blood. As they examined the lifeless body of Edward Mordrake, they witnessed the face on the back of his head do something it had never done while Edward was alive. For the first time, its lips curled into a full, triumphant smile. Why would it smile? The whisperers Edward heard might hold the answer. The face was a parasite, not just of the body, but of the soul. It was trapped, just as Edward was, but his death was not its end. It was its release. It was finally free. Free to find a new host, a new mind to poison, a new life to destroy. The story of Edward Mordrake serves as a terrifying reminder that sometimes the greatest monsters aren't those that hide in the shadows, but the ones we carry with us. So, what do you think? Was this a real, documented case of a parasitic twin? Or has the story been embellished over time into a terrifying urban legend? The line between medical anomaly and supernatural horror is often thinner than we think. Let me know your theories down in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the strange and unsettling. If you've enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more explorations of history's darkest mysteries. We'll see you in the next one.